If wedding planning feels lonely right now, I need you to know something. You are not crazy, you are not needy, and you're not asking for too much. And no, it does not automatically mean no one cares about you, but I know it can feel that way when you're excited about your wedding and the people you thought would be excited with you barely ask about it, or they change the subject, or act annoyed, or make you feel like talking about your wedding is some kind of crime. So today, I want to talk about why wedding planning can feel so lonely, why it hurts more than people realize, and what to do when you feel like you're planning one of the biggest days of your life by yourself. Hey, I'm Steve Barnett, and I'm a Pennsylvania wedding photographer. I photograph weddings throughout central PA, including Harrisburg, Hershey, Lancaster, York, Gettysburg, and the surrounding areas. And today, I want to talk about something I see engaged people talk about online a lot. And that's wedding planning loneliness. Not budget stress, not venue stress, not timeline stress, but loneliness. That feeling of, why does nobody care? Why does nobody ask me about the wedding? Why do I feel annoying when I talk about it? Why am I so excited and somehow so alone? And listen, that one hurts. Because when you get engaged, there's usually this tiny expectation in your heart that the people closest to you will be excited with you. You picture your mom asking questions, your friends wanting updates, your bridesmaids checking in, your family being happy, and people wanting to hear about the dress, the venue, the plans, and the little things that make the day feel real. And sometimes that happens, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people barely ask. Sometimes they act bored, they change the subject, or they only bring up the wedding when they need something. Sometimes they make jokes about how much you talk about it. Sometimes they tell you you're being too much, and suddenly something that should feel joyful starts feeling embarrassing. You start censoring yourself, you stop giving updates, you feel guilty for being excited. You wonder if you are annoying, if anyone really cares. And that can be such a lonely place to be. So let's talk about it. First, I want you to know that wedding planning loneliness does not mean your wedding does not matter. It doesn't mean your relationship does not matter. It doesn't mean that you're being dramatic. It means that you expected support and the support looks different than you hoped. And that can be really disappointing. You're allowed to feel that. Sometimes people do care, but maybe they don't know how to show it. Some people are not planners. Some people do not understand weddings. Perhaps some people think, well, I'll just show up on the day. Some people assume if you need help, you will ask. Some people do not realize that asking, how's wedding planning going, could mean a lot. That doesn't excuse everything, but it could explain some of it. Not everyone expresses excitement in the same way, but then there is that other side. Sometimes people are truly not showing up well. Friends are distracted, family self focused, bridesmaids agree to the role but do not understand the emotional support part of it. Sometimes people care about the wedding only when it affects them. Sometimes the people you thought would be your safest place are the people making you feel the most alone. That is painful, and you do not have to pretend that it isn't. The second thing is this: being excited about your wedding does not mean you're annoying. I need some of you to hear that twice. Being excited about your wedding does not make you annoying. Now, does that mean every conversation with every person needs to become a wedding planning podcast? No. We love self awareness, we respect balance, but you are allowed to talk about your wedding. You are allowed to be excited. You are allowed to want people to ask. You are allowed to want your friends to care. You are allowed to want your family to show interest. This is a major life event, and it's not weird that you want to share it. What hurts is when you feel like you have to shrink your excitement to make other people comfortable, and honestly, that can make planning feel even heavier because now you're not just making decisions, you're also managing whether you're allowed to be happy out loud. The third thing is to separate your people into categories. That might sound a little weird, but stay with me here. Not everyone in your life is going to be the wedding person. Some people are great for emotional support. Some people are great for opinions. Some people are great for tasks. Some are great for showing up on the day, but not for planning conversations. Some people love details. Some people would rather chew glass than talk about chair colors. This does not always mean they don't love you. It just means that maybe they're not the right person for that kind of support. So instead of trying to get wedding excitement from the wrong person over and over, ask yourself, who actually gives me good energy when I talk about this? Maybe it's your fiance. Maybe it's that one friend. Maybe it's a sibling. Um, Maybe it's someone who already got married. It could be a vendor you trust. Hi. Maybe it's an online wedding community. Find the people who can hold the excitement with you. Then stop going back to the people who make you feel small, hoping this time they will respond differently. That's exhausting. The fourth thing is to tell people what you need. I know this part can be annoying because part of you wants people to just know. You want your bridesmaids to check in without being asked. You want your mom to ask about the dress. You want your best friend to be excited because she's your best friend. You want people to understand that this matters. And I get that. Try saying, hey, I know wedding stuff is a lot, but I've been feeling kind of alone in planning. Could I send you updates sometimes? Or it would mean a lot if you asked me how planning is going once in a while. Or I don't need you to fix anything. I just want someone to be excited with me. Or can we have one night where I show you some wedding ideas and then I promise we can talk about other things? That gives people a chance to show up. Some will, some won't. And that information matters too. The fifth thing is to let your fiance into more of the emotional load. This one depends on a relationship, of course, but it matters. Sometimes one partner becomes the default wedding manager, usually the bride. She's the one researching, emailing, tracking deadlines, managing family opinions, answering questions, planning details, making decisions, and trying to keep everything moving. Then she feels lonely because even though she's getting married to someone, the planning feels like her job. If that's happening, talk about it. Not in a accusatory, you never help me kind of way if you can avoid it, but more like, hey, I'm feeling really alone in this. I need us to carry more of this together. Your fiance may not even realize how much you're holding. Again, that does not mean it's fair, it just means the conversation may need to be more direct because the wedding is not just your event, it belongs to both of you. The planning should not quietly become one person's unpaid internship in emotional logistics. The sixth thing to watch out for is comparison. Social media makes wedding planning loneliness worse. You see other brides with bridesmaids throwing parties, moms crying over dresses, friends screaming over venues, perfect proposal reactions, perfect engagement parties, perfect bachelorette trips, perfect comment sections. And then you look at your own life and wonder why yours feels quieter. But social media is not showing you the full story. It's showing you just the loudest part. You don't know who cried in the car. You don't know who felt ignored. You don't know who fought with their family. And you don't know who felt lonely 5 minutes before posting. A pretty post does not prove someone feels supported. It proves someone posted, and that is all. So please, be careful about letting someone else's highlight reel convince you that your people, your wedding, or your experience is broken. The seventh thing is to create your own support rituals. If people are not naturally showing up the way you hoped, you may need to build support more intentionally. Maybe you and a fiance do a weekly planning night with takeout. Maybe you have a friend who gets the fun updates. Maybe you join a local bride group. Maybe you make a private note in your phone where you dump all the wedding thoughts before your brain eats them alive. Maybe you schedule vendor calls that make you feel less alone. Maybe you turn planning tasks into smaller appointments instead of carrying everything mentally all day. Support does not always show up automatically. Sometimes you have to structure it. That does not mean it's less meaningful. The eighth thing is to grieve what you hope this season would feel like. This part is tender. Sometimes the hardest part of wedding planning is not the task itself, it's realizing that certain people are not showing up how you imagined. Maybe you thought your mom would be more involved. Maybe you thought your friends would ask more questions. Maybe you thought your bridesmaids would be more excited. Maybe you thought this season would just make you feel surrounded. But instead, it feels quiet. That loss is real. Even if no one did anything cruel, even if everyone technically means well, you're allowed to be sad that the season does not feel the way you hoped. Let yourself admit that. Not so that you can stay there forever, but so you can stop pretending it doesn't hurt. The ninth thing is to remember that your wedding day can still feel full of love, even if planning feels lonely. This is important. The planning season and the wedding day are not always the same emotional experience. Sometimes people who barely ask questions during the planning show up on the day and cry during the ceremony. Sometimes family who did not understand the details finally feel the weight of the moment. Sometimes friends who were not always helpful planners are still joyful guests. Sometimes the day itself gives you the love you were afraid was missing. That does not erase the loneliness of planning, but it can give you hope. The wedding day has a way of bringing things into focus. When you are standing there with your person, when people are gathered, when the ceremony starts, when your partner looks at you, when the people who love you are in one room, the noise of planning can get quieter. The 10th thing is to choose vendors who make you feel less alone. I know that might sound like a strange thing to say as a photographer, but it does matter. Your vendors are a part of your planning experience. You should not feel like you're sending emails into a black hole. You should not feel stupid for asking questions. You should not feel like you have to already know everything. A good vendor makes the process feel clear. They answer questions. They guide you. They help you understand what matters. They reduce confusion. And your photographer especially should help you feel prepared for the photo side of the day, because if you already feel alone in planning, you don't need a photographer who adds more mystery. You need someone who helps you breathe. That's the kind of experience I want my couples to have. I want them to know what to expect. I want them to feel comfortable asking questions. I want them to feel guided through timeline, portraits, family photos, all the little things they may not know to think about yet, because most couples have never done this before. You're not supposed to know how to plan a wedding. So if the wedding planning feels lonely right now, here is what I want you to hear. You are not annoying for wanting people to care. You are not dramatic for feeling hurt. You are not selfish for wanting support. You are not wrong for being excited. And you are not alone. Even if this season feels lonelier than you expected, find the people who can hold the excitement with you. Ask clearly for what you need. Let your fiance carry more of the load. Stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's post. Grieve the support you hope for and choose vendors who help make the process feel less lonely. Your wedding still matters. Your excitement still matters. And you are allowed to want this season to feel special. So, if you're planning a wedding in Pennsylvania and you want a photographer who helps you feel comfortable, prepared, and taken care of through the photo side of the day, I'd love to talk with you. My job is to not just show up with a camera, it's to help you feel less alone in the parts of the day you may not know about how to plan. Head to my website, send me an inquiry, and tell me what you're planning. I love to hear your story. Call me, beat me if you want to book me.